20 million subscribers. Shouts out to In a Nutshell. Y'all doing it big out there, man. That's a big thing. You know what I mean? 20 mil. That's different. That's different. There's not many channels. They joined the club for the 20 million subscriber channels, which is not that many of, but shouts out. And they're one of the only ones to do it that make like educational type videos too. So that's dope. And you know, we mess with them. And most complex language in the world, we know, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be DNA or some kind of, well, you can call a lot of things a language, but it's a complex language, so let's learn about it.
You are cells, your muscles, organs, skin, and hair. They are in your blood and in your bones.
Yes?
Cells are biological robots. They don't want anything. They don't feel anything. They are never sad or happy. They just are, right here, right now. They're as conscious as a stone or a chair or a neutron star. Cells just follow their programming that's been evolving and changing for billions of years, molded by natural selection. They are impossible machines, and yet, here they are, driven entirely by the fundamental forces of the universe. The smallest unit of life, right at the border where physics becomes biology. Sometimes, to get a truer understanding of how amazing something is, you need to hold your breath and dive in really deep. So, what are cells, and how do they work?
Alright. So it's not about DNA, it's about cells? Well, yeah.
Look around the room you're sitting in right now. Let's fill it top to bottom with trillions of grains of sand, billions of grains of rice, hundreds of thousands of grapes, a few thousand apples, and a dozen watermelons. This is what the inside of your cells looks like. In terms of numbers, they're mostly filled up with water molecules, the grains of sand. Water gives the cell's insides the consistency of soft jelly and enables other things to move around easily.
The consistency of soft jelly, but the tardigrade, the only animal that can survive completely having the water sucked out of its cells, and then once you reintroduce the water, they can go back to, you know, being alive or whatever. It's crazy. They cheat death. Why did we never develop that? I'm guessing there's going to be complications the bigger an animal is, because think about them. Tardigrades are microscopic, but it's like if we could figure out a way to turn our cells into like a jelly type like substance, the way that the tardigrades do, you know, their shit like completely, it can be completely excess of what it can have a what do you call it, like completely void of water, and that would regularly kill any animal, right? Because cells, they cannot function. They you know, they die, whatever. They can't function without water. And if you do get to that point where you have no water in your cells, you're dead and you're not coming back. You know what I mean? Because they don't have the ability to just, you know, once they stop working, they don't have the ability to keep working again. You know, or well, at least that's my understanding of it. But the tardigrades cheat because they turn their cells into actual like jelly type stuff, which can like be frozen in time, which they turn their whole bodies into this like weird blanket jelly state where they're not really alive, but they're not really dead either. It's really interesting.
Almost all the other things, the rice and fruit, are proteins. Several billion in total, more than 10,000 different kinds, depending on the function of the cell. Your cells are basically protein robots, as is all life, really. In fact, all solid, non-fat parts of your body are mostly made out of protein, even your bones. Proteins are dead things that make life happen. How does this work? The language of life. Cells need to do many very hard things to stay alive. Get food in and waste out, grow and build structures, escape danger or react to stimuli, make copies of themselves, and so on. All of this is done by speaking the language of life. And the words of this language are proteins. This is how this language works in a nutshell.
So
It
the
all
actual
begins with
substance of
amino
the
acids,
language is
tiny organic
proteins.
molecules. They're the alphabet of the language of life. There are 21 different ones, like different letters. Amino acid A, amino acid B, C, and so on. If you put around 50 amino acids together, they form a protein, which in the language of life is a word. And if you put many of these protein words together, you get a sentence called a biological pathway. Let's oversimplify a bit and say, for example, your cell needs to break down sugar with the language of life. It may take the amino acids for the letters B, R, E, A, and K to form the protein word break. Then combine this word with other protein words to form a biological pathway sentence that means break down sugar. In reality, this language of life is so complex that it defies imagination. You need to know about 8,000 words to speak a human language really well. But in the language of life, there are an estimated 20,000. And while the average English word...
Yeah, you're telling me the average person only knows 8,000 words? So I don't use more than 8,000 words, and I speak very well, so I can speak it fluently and understand it and have complete comprehension. Well, when I come to think about it, I don't think I use 8,000 different words. Yeah, sounds about right.
Word has 5 letters. Human proteins have an average of 375 amino acids. The longest protein has more than 30,000. And cells need to execute thousands of steps at any moment. If they ever stop speaking the language of life, they die. Okay, but how do mindless cells speak a language this complex?
Right.
Let's dive a little deeper. There are 21 amino acids that can be combined to form proteins.
Right.
And proteins are made up of dozens to hundreds to thousands of amino acids. For the average protein length of a human cell of 375 amino acids, you get a stunning 6.8 times 10 to the power of 495 possible proteins your cells can make. A quadrillion Google times more than there are atoms in the universe. Most of these possible proteins are useless.
Google. Whoever named it a Google, it sounds kind of goofy to me.
Just like with human language, most random letter combinations are just gibberish. So you need to know which words, which proteins, make up a language to speak it properly. And this is the job of your DNA, a long sequence of instructions. If you untangled a cell's DNA, it would be about 2 meters long. All of your body's DNA combined into one long string would reach to the sun and back over 20 times. Around 1% of your DNA is made up of genes, which are basically protein dictionaries that contain all the words of the language of life your cells speak. But genes are also the building manuals for all the proteins your cells need to function. The rest of your DNA is probably not useless, but basically like a set of rules. It's like the book of grammar of the language of life. Which proteins need to be built at which time? How many of them do you need? Which protein words go together and why? Okay, letters, words, sentences, dictionary, and grammar. But of course, this is all just a metaphor for something mind-numbingly complex. Let's dive a little deeper to catch a glimpse of reality. How dead proteins make life. Now that we have some basic principles, we have a chance to understand how dead things make life together.
So amino acids, they make proteins. When you combine, so the most basic thing, and we're not even going to talk about what amino acids are made out of, because that's what physics does. You keep going down to find the most fundamental thing. But let's start with amino acids, because we don't want to complicate things too much. We're even having to be forced to use metaphors, because my brain cannot understand the actual complexity of what is going on. So it's best if you explain it to me in the way that they're explaining it. I like the little alphabet metaphor. I don't know how accurate that might be, but it's if you can explain it to a 5-year-old, it's the best you're really gonna get. We shouldn't expect any more than that. But amino acids, you put them together, you have 21. So it's an alphabet of 21. You put them together, you make words, which are proteins. And then when you put those proteins together, you make a biological pathway, which would be like a sentence. DNA is grammar, right? It's like syntax. It's like all the rules that people follow when making cohesive sentences. So it's like, he's like the, what do you call it? DNA. Well, it's grammar. I don't know. But it's like, what does grammar do? It, provides all the rules for what you can make. And that's what DNA is doing. And then you put all those things together, and boom, you have cells, which are the speaker, which has combined all of this to speak. Yep, okay, we got it.
And for that, we need a fundamental force of the universe, electromagnetism. The elementary particles that make up atoms, which make up amino acids, have different charges that attract or repel each other. The 21 different amino acids all have slightly different charges. Some are more negative, others more positive. When your cells build proteins, they put different amino acids together in chains, basically long strings. Now, because of the different charges of the amino acids used, these strings begin to fold in on themselves. This folding process is so complex that we still haven't completely understood how exactly it works. But in a nutshell, 1D strings become 3D structures. Proteins are basically 3D puzzle pieces with a very specific shape. In the world of proteins, shape is everything. Because its 3D shape determines which areas of a protein are charged in which way, and this determines how it can interact with other proteins. All of these differently charged puzzle pieces can snap together or repel each other. When they snap together, their charge changes, which can make them change their shape, which then makes them a new protein, a new tool that can do new things. This is what makes proteins so incredibly powerful. You can do basically everything with them. They can snap together like Lego pieces to build complex structures. They can dismantle things. They can form complex micromachines that use energy to do work. And maybe most stunningly, they can convey information. Let's say there's a toxic chemical entering your cell. There may be a protein shaped to snap to that toxin. If the protein finds that toxin, it changes its shape. With that new shape, it can now snap into a different protein that changes its shape again. This new protein activates a micromachine that directly binds to your DNA to order the production of a special protein which acts as an antidote to the toxin. This cascade of interaction is the pathway we spoke about earlier, a sentence in the language of life. So, without a single active thought, proteins have fixed a problem and saved the cell's life. In reality, these pathways can have dozens to hundreds of steps. How life operates is so incredibly awe-inducing. Somehow, mind-numbingly complex interactions between dumb and dead proteins create a less dumb and less dead cell. Somewhere around here, life happens, but we still don't know what life is. How dumb things are smart together. We need another analogy, so let's talk about ants. Ants share a fundamental property with cells: they are really dumb. A single ant will just stumble around uselessly. But if you put a lot of ants together, they exchange information and do amazing things. Constructing complex structures, organizing themselves, caring for broods, or attacking enemies. Although dumb individually, together they become something greater. This phenomenon occurs all over nature and is called emergence. It's the observation that entities have properties and abilities that their parts do not have. This is how everything in your body works. Your cells are bags of proteins guided by chemistry. But together, these proteins form a living being that can do a lot of really sophisticated things. Cells are mindless robots that are even dumber than ants, but many of them acting together form specialized tissue and organ systems, from muscles that make your heart beat to brain cells that make you think. If you look outside at the incredible dimension and scale of space, a place where forever is a real thing, it's almost impossible not to feel a bit small, not special. But if you look inside into what you really are, you just discover almost indescribable complexity, the beautiful language of life. Almost everything in the universe reveals hidden layers of complexity if you look closer, and if you have the knowledge to understand it. To help you with that, we've created a series of lessons to take your scientific knowledge to the next.
Shouts out, bro. Shouts out. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant. Amazing video. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Cells! That's what me and you are made out of. I know. Kind of anticlimactic there because, well, cells are not really too exciting, right? But that was exciting, though. I hate that I feel like nobody I know would find that exciting, though. But that's exciting. Like, what? That's crazy to know, though. Like, those dumb things make me up. Like, this shit that that's coming out of my mouth, all that shit is being you know, processed by those dead things that, you know, they come from proteins, which come from amino acids, which come from atoms, which come from elementary particles, and then who knows where elementary particles come from, because, well, you know, we put the word elementary there, so it's like that's like the first step, like, for a reason. We've done that for a reason. So if you ask that to a scientist, they'll probably tell you there is nothing more fundamental than elementary particles. Probably like waves, you know, we have string theory, we have a bunch of stuff, but like, I don't know, just energy, right? It's just fundamental energy. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you made it all the way through to the end, I appreciate you. And let me know what you guys want me to react to next. 300 subs? That's crazy. I haven't even been uploading that much, but I want to go back to uploading more consistently and just making videos for you guys, because, you know, I like to do it, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, take care.